So if you listened to our last episode, we talked a lot about finding Main Street, some of the initial problems that we had with property lines and tearing out all the lath and plaster and some of the stripped down, figuring out what we're going to do with it, design. In this one, we're going to continue with the actual repairs that we did, the design decisions that we made, and stuff of that nature.
So, and we spent a lot of time configuring the bathroom, the laundry room, and of course the kitchen again. Trying to figure out, we had nothing. We had nothing kind of to go by on what the kitchen should look like. We thought we wanted an island. I think we always think we want an island, and then we never put an island. But we ended up with a little kind of U-shaped like peninsula, and we thought, what do we put in the peninsula? You know, we ended up putting the dishwasher in it.
Mm-hmm.
We did have to add a sump pump because 1920 have sump pumps in the basement. So we added a sump pump. We added HVAC. Gosh, we just did everything. Well, new wiring all through. We made trim. We decided we want to keep the style of the house, the old craftsman style trim. So we bought boards after boards after boards and made the trim.
Mm-hmm.
And we ripped up the flooring, which was like a decking in the attic. We found that some of that floor was good hardwood, and we didn't have enough in the kitchen. So we spent 4 days. We ripped up the kitchen floor and we re-laid it down with every other board being a big board, a small board. So that took a lot of time. But we did have the contractor come in and stain it. They did a really great job, and we tried to do most of the prep for them. I think we helped, but I think they still had to do some. They fixed a few boards in the closet that weren't.
Yeah, I wasn't too concerned with the closet, and so I think I just laid down a piece of plywood.
I was concerned.
Well,
I was concerned. They fixed it. And then we were trying to decide, like, because we widened the hallway, we had a gap about a couple inches.
That was tough to fix.
And so we actually ran a decorative piece the other way, and that kind of was a good fix.
Well, I just laid down. I went and bought a raw 1x4 piece of oak.
Yeah.
And just filled the gap on either side to cover that gap.
Yeah.
You think we overdid the bathroom upstairs?
Oh no, I like the bathroom upstairs. We did a huge bathroom suite upstairs with a tub and a shower, and
we did do the double vanity, didn't we? Or did we only do one sink?
We ended up doing one, but it had like a side. But I know you wanted to do the double sink, but we couldn't really make it work with the space with the toilet and the shower. We wanted the shower.
We did a freaking walk-in shower and a big soaker tub in a.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I mean,
it was a good.
I can't imagine what this house would have brought in.
I want to
in
see what
area.
this house looks like now.
Yeah. Let's talk about the kitchen.
We got some countertop. We decided to that was our first time we got our slab of countertops. So we went to the granite place and picked out one of their slabs, and it was really nice. Turned out really nice.
Yeah, the whole kitchen was great. Again, you did a great job of designing that and picking the right size cabinets, and we
It was
weren't
tricky.
we weren't as restricted with this one as we were on the first one.
A little bit, because we had a space that the sink, we wanted the sink to go on an inside wall because for freezing purposes. So we put the sink, but we only had a limited amount in between each side because we had a chimney from the downstairs kind of going up. So we were a little bit constricted on that, what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and we got some appliances, and the house started with a fire and almost ended with a fire, Scott. As we were packing up all the things after we were getting ready to sell, and I had some packing paper on the stove, and Scott jumped up on the counter to get something and turned the
I got the cellular Wi-Fi thing for the alarm system that we installed, and I had to jump up on top of the cabinets to grab that. And apparently I kicked the knob on the stove and
left.
left.
And I was there. I was upstairs, and
Thank God.
I thought, God, it smells like smoke, because I'm real sensitive to that kind of stuff. And I was like, it really smells like smoke. It was on fire. I just kind of scooped it all together on the stove and let it kind of burn out.
It was a glass top stove. Everything was fine. It kind of had to apologize to the new
buyer,
the buyer.
new owner. The night before we closed, we had someone in the area did a hit and run. They ran through our mailbox, hit our tree, and ran through the neighbor's fence.
I drove by the other day. They still don't have a mailbox out there.
They don't. We gave them at closing. We gave them a $150 gift card to Lowe's to get a new mailbox.
Mm-hmm.
They still don't have a mailbox. That's funny.
I think everybody's moved them back to the house, which is strange because normally once they're out at the street, that's where
I think they're doing
postal service wants them.
Boxes, or I don't know, but yeah. So we had to apologize at closing for him not having a mailbox, and I don't know. I mean,
so is there anything that you think that we should have done different on Main Street?
I think that we could have maybe done a little bit more research on the contractors that we had. We had some problems with a few contractors. Partially it's us again being too nice. We had a guy,
and cheap.
Cheap and nice is not a good combination.
Yeah.
And we had a guy who, I've been doing this for 20 years. Well, but I mean, I don't know. And we ended up paying someone else to redo some of the work that guy did. And we ended up paying him, but we just wanted him to leave.
Well, I just, I caught him and I just said, look, if you install these windows, you did a great job on these couple of windows and those couple of windows, and the rest of these are kind of not even weathered in. And he looked at me and like weathered in was kind of a weird term. And
yeah,
I mean, I've had conversations with other people and we've all used that term and know that what it means is that you should be able to have a good seal around the window so snow isn't blowing in. I think at the time it was late.
Yeah, we had
late
some
fall,
snow in there.
Yeah.
But we got, I think that on this one we learned that how are we gonna structure it? Like, do we want you to do parts and labor? Do we want to give you like some up front? Like that's all things that you have to learn as you're getting contractors and figuring out who's going to do the work. And I think, when people are like, can I have $100? Can I have $100? Can I have $100? That's a problem with the contractor when they have to have $100 every day. And so I think that we have learned maybe a little bit.
Well, I think we found, so I relieved that guy. I was like, look, man, this isn't going to be our last house. And you can either do it right, or I can pay you and you can be on your way. And we'll just be done. And I think he had his nephew with him, and he wanted to be a tough guy rather than do it right. And, I'm not going to blast him on a podcast. But believe me, if I'm having a conversation personally with somebody and they want to know who the guy is in the area to not call, I'm going to tell them who he is. And so that's not good business for him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's not working for himself anymore, if he continues to do things like that.
People that do good work, you want them to come back and you want to tell everyone about them. Like people ask me every day, who do you have for this? Who do you have for that? And I like my people, my clients to tell me, like, who did you use that's good? Because we want to promote those people. We give them business, like I used to tell people, like, I don't want to tell you my person because I want to use them. I don't want to get the word out and not have them anymore.
No, you want them to be available when you want them.
Right. But I think it's good to, support, everybody and, but you also have to, I'm a little bit harder, I think, on my attention to detail, maybe a little bit more in tune. And so I have to relax a little bit and not be so.
Well, you see situations every day when you're walking through a property with an inspector or an appraiser, and you know what an appraiser is going to call out for an FHA loan. And so you watch a lot of that because you're there like you're supposed to be as a realtor when those people are walking through a property that you're purchasing or helping a buyer purchase. And so you are a little bit harder, and I think that's part of why I want to do less work.
Let's work on the houses because I'm too hard.
Because you're critical.
I'm sorry. It comes from love.
I'd rather just
everybody that works for us. It comes from love.
Right. I'd just rather pay other people, and then you can bitch at me about how bad it is. But rather than being the guy who did the work and getting the ass ripping. So.
No, I just think that there are shortcuts that people take that I see that bother me. I tell all my contractors, like, up front, transitions are my thing. I gotta have a smooth transition from room to room. It bothers me when I see an inch difference on a transition. When you take out a window and you just put whatever siding on the outside and you can see that it looks like a window, that bothers me. So there are things that are like my pet peeve, but yeah. But some things I'm oblivious to.
Well, so we didn't really do anything in the basement. Pretty much left it as it was, other than giving it a good cleaning.
We talked about it. There was a weird room that looked like it had been used for something, like
The problem was it was really short.
It was very short.
The advantage that it had was it had
an
set of stairs.
Entrance,
yeah. Mm-hmm. It would have been really great if we could have turned that into an apartment and rented that out, and that could have been an option for us. We considered keeping this as a rental, like an Airbnb, because it was so close. The proximity downtown was.
We thought
amazing.
About it. We thought about keeping it.
Yeah, it would have been great to have a renter downstairs and let them have their own space, and we could have just made a little kitchenette down there and given them their own space to kind of keep an eye on the house.
And we talked about putting a stair outside and adding, just an upstairs, but it's just it was so big. We didn't want it. We didn't want to keep it too
No,
big.
we didn't want to.
And we didn't want to chop it up.
Right.
That great old house, you know.
No, I think I'm super happy with the way it turned out. I learned so much. So when we actually went through with the inspections and everything, and the only thing that we got a call back on was they wanted us to improve the fire blocking because of the way that there was a transition between the main floor and the second floor. And the inspector actually had to come out twice to have me make some alterations, add some rock wool to slow that down, and then we sprayed in a fair bit of. There's a expanding foam that's orange that's fire blocking also, and so we just had to cover all those areas. But I was very happy that we went through. I mean, this is like almost a new construction size project. I mean, other than the shell was already there. We went through everything. We went through inspections on HVAC, plumbing, electric, sheetrock, the fire. You know, we had the smoke alarms throughout the whole house, like any modern house would have, and I think we put out a fantastic product. And I think that's our goal, that we want to put something that, as always, people are gonna live in, appreciate, and be able to get value out of when they're ready to sell.
I mean, and always it's the last minute little stuff that kind of hung us up. We took a long time on this project. We didn't mean to, but you know, we had some family things happen.
Took us 2 years in this thing.
Yeah, we were out of commission for about 13 weeks pretty much, and you know, but we didn't owe anything on this house. I mean, we paid cash for it. We didn't owe anything. We barely had electric on. We had no heat for a long time, no water. you know?
we didn't have
so
any
I mean, we had electric was the main bill that we had, and so for us, when things happen in your life and you get set back 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 13 weeks, yeah, we wanted to finish it, but we needed to do stuff at the time, and we needed to, you know, it was going to be there. I mean, it might have been broken into, but it was going to be there. And, you know, some days we just went and did like one thing just to say we went, and there were a lot of days during that time where we're just going to go do one thing, just one thing to move the needle a little bit more, you know, and, when we got back into it, it went pretty fast, but yeah, we added, you know, 2 extra bedrooms, really could be 4 bedrooms instead of 3. It's got a nice sunroom up there, and yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I regret is that we took so long, but it was okay that we did. I mean,
well, I think if we did that house today, I think we'd have it done in 8 months. And I think it's just a hazard of, it was our second flip. We still didn't know what we were doing, and it was a monster size. What was it, 1,700 square feet? Mm-hmm. Not counting the basement?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess not monster. It's not like we're talking about a 3,000 square foot house, but for people who have no idea what's going on and just completely stripping something.
I mean, we've only done hardwood floors like twice.
We've done a little bit of hardwood floors on the rental, and
yeah, but nothing like that.
No,
nothing like pulling a whole floor up. And
no, you know,
it back
looking back though. After doing Main Street, I feel like we could have done repairs to the flooring in St. Clair rather than laying new flooring through the whole house.
Yeah, but we just didn't know. I mean, I don't know. We didn't know.
We hadn't met that contractor yet.
Yeah, that's true.
So, again, contractors are really, once you get to a point where you can afford to pay contractors, if you can keep that rolling, I think it makes a lot of sense because you can expedite your repairs. Especially if you're like us and you're doing a full-time job, and then you get off work at the evening time and run over to the house and do 2 or 3 hours worth of work. Like these contractors, that's their job. They work 8 hours a day in a it took them one day to hang every piece of sheetrock through this whole house. It was incredible how much sheetrock they hung in one day. I think they came back the next day to, I don't think they spent an hour there. They just came back to do something small. Now, it did take a little bit longer.
To mud and tape.
For mud and tape, but they had the whole house sheetrocked in a day. I'm
it
glad
took us
I got
longer
over there.
to unload the sheetrock and move it into the house.
And that was...
move all that. We had to move all that stuff. We split it in half. Your dad came over. We put half of it up the stairs. We took it upstairs. It would be ready for them. I don't know why we did that. We're stupid.
Well,
they should have done it.
they were giving us a deal.
Yeah.
And it was stretch rock, and so I can't believe my dad's stamina in his mid-60s to help me carry this 4.5 foot tall by 12 foot long sheetrock up a set of stairs. There was literally less than 6 inches on either side, above and below the sheetrock, as we're carrying it up the stairs to squeeze it up there. And then we had to turn a tight corner to get it into the space. But I think that went really well. I think it helped them get it done as fast as it did. And I'm willing to work. I'm willing to put in the effort.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that, we try to do some of the finishing things, like we put the cabinets in, you put the cabinets in, and then we added the back and kind of did some finishing things just to make it not look like just cabinets were in. We added some specialty lights and different things to kind of make it feel more like finished, I think.
We did crown molding around the top of the counters, and we really overdid this house. We really
totally overdid it, but
we kind of always do.
We kind of do.
We kind of went against what anybody would tell you. You don't want to be the most expensive house on the block, and you don't want to be the best redone house on the block trying to charge the highest price.
I know, but there was 10 other houses at the same time getting done, and we were also seeing what was happening to those houses, how those were being done, and I don't know how to do it any other way. I don't know how to not do it like I would want to live there. I mean, at any moment I could have to live in one of these houses. And
right.
I want someone to feel like they could live into one of our houses. I don't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah, no, we build it as if we would have to put our house on the market and sell it, or rent out our house and move into that house if we couldn't get it sold, and we would feel comfortable living in the house. Yeah. And I think we've changed that just a little bit on the next two, but they were much faster, much more modern than the...
Well, the next one, he got mad at me. We closed on Main Street, and we didn't really know what to do with, we didn't have another house. We didn't know, we needed to do some other things, take a little break after Main Street. So we bought our second
rental.
So we'll have to talk about that next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for sitting down and chatting with me.
Thanks for dragging me for 5 minutes.